A lot of people in Oregon would probably love to own forest land like this, but they just don't have the background. What should they do, Tammy?
You know, in my experience working with private landowners, it's not just learning how to manage the land itself, it's about managing the business side of it, the taxes they have to deal with, the contracts when they need an operation done, the record keeping, the day-to-day expenses. It's just a lot involved and a lot to learn about.
All right. Let's say we're at the point that we're ready to invest in forest land. What do I need to think about before I go and find the perfect piece of property?
Sure, as you're looking at properties, you need to think about what your objectives for ownership are. Try to find that property that best meets your objectives for ownership. That if that objective includes income generation, then you want to make sure you have a productive enough property that can generate the kind of income that you might need, including paying those annual property taxes. So you want to make sure that you can cover those expenses.
All right. Many landowners manage for wildlife or aesthetics, but eventually most consider harvesting timber. So what are some of the financial considerations that they need to think about when harvesting timber?
One of the first things to think about is making sure you have a good logger and that you have a solid contract with that logger. After that, you're going to be looking for an accountant to make sure that somebody can report the income from this sale. And that income is going to be reported to the state to deal with harvest taxes and state income taxes, and then ultimately to the federal government for federal income taxes.
Wow, there's a lot there. Okay, so Tammy, you've harvested your forest, or some of it. What do we need to worry about now?
Well, Mike, the Oregon Forest Practices Act requires that you reforest after you've had some kind of a harvest. So you'll be required to do that, and it makes good biological and financial sense to do that as well. You're going to want to find a contractor who can help you with that, and that will cost you some money, but there are mechanisms in place that can defray that, such as the cost share or tax incentives that are available.
All right. So we've got this beautiful piece of forest land, we've got a management plan, it's just chugging along, and then we get hit by a fire, a windstorm, or some sort of loss. How do we deal with that?
Well, one of the things you want to do is go meet with your tax preparer and really talk about what some options may be for recovery. They're going to ask you questions about salvage on the property, and they're going to ask you about if you have any idea what it was worth before that event happened. All those things will play into whether there's a taxable loss.
So after years of enjoying the benefits of the forest land, it's time to think about passing it on. How do we deal with that, Tammy?
One of the first things I tell landowners to do is to sit down with the family, find out how they feel about the property as part of a bigger succession planning conversation. Decide whether we want to keep the land in the family or whether it makes more sense to sell it. Either way, it's really important for them to understand the value of the land before they get into these discussions.
This is all great, but there's a lot. Is there resources that could help me out here?
Sure, Mike, it is a lot of information. Consulting foresters can help, as well as financial planners, talking to accountants and lawyers. In addition, you could go to the OSU Extension website where there's free publications and videos available. And then you can go to your local extension office where they'll have some workshops available for you.
All right, well, this helps a lot. Thank you.
Great.